Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. That is the theme of this season. I said it in past streams. I firmly believe it, and I am now wondering who we murdered to get the kind of karma that we have had this season for the Bucs. I was actually really amped to talk to you guys today because we looked good, just like we looked good in the last game, and the outcome was the same. Well, anyway, let me first things first. Just went live, so hey everybody, I'm Corey Draper. Thanks for joining me. If this is your first time here, I've started this channel. I actually started this channel as just a general NFL channel. And if you've seen any of the other videos, or if you watch any of the other videos on my channel, you'll see they're a little bit higher produced and pre-written and all that stuff. And I plan on doing more of that stuff in the future. It's just this year is just time has gotten away from me. So I decided to let's just keep the ball rolling with this channel and do live reactions to Bucs games. Man, what a season to do it. I've yet to do a reaction for a win, I think. So it's every stream, it seems like it's the same, right? It's talking about how we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And when I was sitting here watching this game, I was excited because I was like, hey, you know what? Even if we lose, this team looks good. We have hope. And yet, the times when I'm like, hey, we have 4 wins, there's nothing to play for. If we lose, it's actually a good thing. If we boost our draft stock, it's a good thing. So I'm not going to let this affect me. The Bucs find new and inventive ways to disappoint me and to tear my spirits down and ruin my day. I'm sure this is how you guys feel. I see some of you already in the chat room, and this is the time to commiserate together, guys. Let the chat room have it. Play out your frustrations. I'm going to talk a little bit before I kind of respond to what you guys are saying, because I do have some thoughts in this game, and I will talk about the end there. But overall, it's the same old stuff, right? We lead in all the categories that matter except the final score, and that is frustrating. That is frustrating. We can't score in the red zone. That is frustrating. The defense plays lights out the entire game except for when it matters. That's frustrating. We have killer penalties. We have weird, crazy, boneheaded plays that end up just going the opposite way we wanted them to, or the other team fumbles and it bounces right back into their arms and they go into the end zone like today. That has happened so much this year. That has happened so much this year. That's why I call this season the season of Murphy's Law. Because even when things could go our way, like a team fumbles, Devontae Freeman had 2 fumbles last week, but it didn't show up on the stat sheet because they fell back into his arms. They ended up recovering it. They ended up recovering it in the end zone. Same thing with the Panthers this year. And it's just, that's this kind of year. That's what this year is. And even when it's okay to lose, they still find a way to frustrate us. Still, mad props to the defense for carrying this team. They played amazing against a team that is good offensively. Yes, they gave up some boneheaded Cam Newton runs, but the Panthers didn't score an offensive touchdown until the very end. So the defense did well. The defense did well last week against Matt Ryan. They're doing well against these teams, and got to give credit where it's due, but it doesn't really mean anything if you don't win, right? Positive. Jameis is looking amazing, guys. Jameis is playing the best I've seen him play. He is not throwing picks. Yes, he's fumbling. That's going to be an issue, and that's why we need to bolster our offensive line big time, is because he's got small hands, which is weird. He's got small hands, and I remember this being a thing for him coming out in college, that his hands are a little bit smaller, and so he's just going to fumble sometimes when he gets hit. So, hey, how about let's not let him get hit? Otherwise, he's being super accurate. He's being safe with the ball, and he's still making those big plays. We had explosive plays today. They were great. The running game was okay. The running game was so-and-so. Peyton Barber, he's not a world beater. I don't know why we put in Doug Martin when he did. He looked like nothing he's done with his team. I felt like he kind of killed drives. Chris Godwin. He's going to be great, guys. Honestly, I don't care if Djax stays or goes because we have Chris Godwin. We don't need Deshaun Jackson. I think it simplifies our offense, and Chris Godwin looked great. The rookie tight ends looked good. I'm trying to think of the positives here. I mean, again, the defense looked really good. The linebackers looked good. Pat Murray, man, he made 4 out of 5 field goals, which when you say it like that, it's like, okay, that's solid. Second week in a row, he missed a field goal, and it caused us to lose. Again, I think I chalked that up for Murphy's Law, really. Honestly, Pat Murray is a good kicker, guys. He's accurate. He is clutch, and he has the right attitude. It's just that kind of season. Chris Baker cost us the game. I see you, Adrian. You said Chris Baker cost us the game. I agree with you. Chris Baker did cost us the game. However, I don't know about you guys. When I was sitting there and it was 4th down and 6 to go, I thought the Panthers were going to score there. Whether or not Chris Baker jumped off sides, I felt like no matter what would happen, Murphy's Law, something was going to happen and the Panthers were going to find the end zone. Yeah, so frustrating. Got a question from Micah. I'm a Panthers fan and don't keep up with the Bucs too much. What are your biggest needs in the draft? Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's start talking about the future, guys. I had notes on here, and one more thing I'm going to point out because I really want to, and then I'll move on to the future. I'll move on to that question. Not only did Chris Godwin look great, how about Freddie Martino and Bobo Wilson? They shined. They stepped up. You could tell they were hungry. Just wanted to give them a quick shout out because honestly, they would have been stars and people would have been talking about them had we won this game. Also, the O-line was garbage, but we all knew they were garbage. O-line, I don't know, I think it was Brent from Pewtercast that said the offensive line has been playing better since the new iteration, and I don't know what he's smoking because they were garbage. Jameis was fighting for his life. But anyway, that kind of leads into the answer for your question, Micah. First of all, congratulations on having a team that doesn't break your heart every week. But the Bucs, their biggest need, in my opinion, is defensive line, offensive line. And in that order. It's like 1A, 1B, but I do think that even with a middling offensive line, we can still win as long as the defense has some playmaking defenders. And we are last in the league in sacks, and it's shown. In tight games like this, we need somebody on the defensive line to step up, and not literally Chris Baker, thank you, but we need people to get sacks. We need people to pressure Cam, not let him sit all day in the pocket, and connect on 25-yard passes at the end of the game. Defensive line's number 1. Offensive line, obviously, is number 2. Again, I say 1B because Jameis needs to be protected, and he needs time. And he needs to not fumble, and the way you do that is you protect him and you give him time in the pocket. So that's number 2. And then if you want me to give a 3, I'll say defensive back. We need corners because Brent Grimes is not coming back, guys. Grimes is out. Why would he return? So yeah, we need a lot of help, actually. But this team is close. I think that's one thing that we can take a positive from, guys, and that's, I'm seeing a lot in here. Hey, Ben McAdoo, I hope you're enjoying your firing. That actually also leads to what I was about to say. We have people saying, about how Dirk needs to be fired, clear the coaching staff, et cetera, all the things that come with a losing season. And I've talked ad nauseum about my thoughts on whether or not we should fire Dirk. But if you're new to this, my thought is you always look and see how the players are playing for the coach. And right now I'm seeing players who are not giving up. And I think that is a positive towards Dirk Cutter. These players have not given up. I think a lot of things against Cutter is his play calling. Like, the ways he's formulated the offense and the plays he has called has not fit Winston very well. And that's great. Like, I think Dirk Cutter does need to be fired, at least as offensive coordinator. Now, if we held on to him as head coach, sit back and look. How has he done as a head coach? What does a head coach do? The game management, the time management, decisions on whether or not to go forward on short yardage situations, when to be aggressive, when to be conservative. I have not had a problem with Dirk's calling in game as far as those things are concerned. He has made mistakes on those, as a new coach would. But this actually was the first game that I saw that I did not agree with some of his calls. We at the very, I think it was at the very end of the first half, we were right there and we had 5 seconds left. I think it was time to throw another quick pass. If it was there, if it was there, it was there. Throw it. If it's not, throw it out of the back of the end zone. We probably would have had 1 or 2 seconds left, and he decided to kick the field goal and play scared. And I didn't like that. And you saw Riverboat Ron on the other side call a fake punt, and it worked out for them. And it was a gutsy call, and it ended up helping them win the game. So anyway, all that to say, whoever's our coach, at this point, I am of the opinion you keep your head coach for consistency. I would like to see Dirk fired as play caller, but held on as head coach. I think he can manage the team well. I think he can do what a head coach can do very well. I think his play calling is what needs to go. And I think there needs to be a lot of personnel changes on the coaching staff. Mike Smith needs to go. Line coaches need to go. There needs to be a massive overhaul, but I'm fine with keeping Dirk as head coach. I think there's a difference there, and I feel like people think that as a play caller, since he's not doing well, he needs to be fired as head coach. I don't think those go hand in hand. Now, if we hire John Gruden, I will be happy. I will be ecstatic. I never wanted him fired in the first place way back in 2008, and that's what's led us into this garbage decade of losing and lots of games like this one. So if we hire Gruden, yay, great. If we don't and we keep Cutter, yay, great. That's basically how I feel about it. And Heather has talked about the poor play calling, field goal right before halftime. I definitely just mentioned that, and that was one I disagreed with. I think I would have liked to have seen us take a shot. Even if the clock ran out, I feel like I would have supported that call at the end of the half. The defense was playing well enough that if we didn't get it, that we could have stayed toe-to-toe with the team. So for you guys saying, Cutter's got to go, I agree. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Like, again, I can see why you want him to go, but when you look at his resume as a head coach, the things he does as a head coach, it's not that bad. I live in Atlanta. People were just all up on Mike Smith for his poor in-game management. And that's just not a thing and that's actually, honestly, why one of the big reasons he was fired. And that's just not a thing I see with Dirk personally. So, Will says, what's your take on Josh McDaniels? Will, I've talked about this in past videos. I am scared of McDaniels because he has proven that he cannot cut it as a head coach. Now, I know he only had like 2 years there, but he's the one that drafted Tim Tebow in the first round. And I feel like if you make that kind of call as a head coach, how are you at evaluating talent if you draft Tim Tebow in the first round? And people say that he won with Tebow, which isn't the case. He was fired before they won with Tim Tebow in the playoffs and then chucked him because he's not a good quarterback, and I am a Florida fan, so I'm not just hating on Tim Tebow. So you guys want Josh McDaniels, but he hasn't shown to me that he can cut it as a head coach. I don't think he has shown to me he would be any better than Dirk Cutter as a head coach. As a play caller, I think McDaniels is brilliant, and it would excite me because I think he could do a lot of great things with Jameis. But his player evaluation and his ability to run a team, that's what I question, because he didn't do it well in Denver, and it led to him being kicked out pretty immediately. So I feel like it's just a sideways thing. And Will, I know you're a Patriots fan, so I know people are actually wanting Matt Patricia too. They want to take Matt Patricia. The thing is, guys, is that the Patriots coordinators are always the hot ticket coaches. Like, people want to take the Patriot coordinators, but like, has that really worked out so well? Like, can you guys tell me in the chat? Can you give me an example of a Patriots coordinator that went and won on his own? Because I'm stretching to find one. Romeo Cornell, he didn't do too well. Charlie Weiss, Bill O'Brien, I guess, is doing okay in college. But Mike, I'm not in the bathroom. I'm in a I am in an empty hallway. I am at my wife's school, and it is empty in here. And the reason I'm here is because my Wi-Fi at home is god-awful and would not be able to hold a live stream like this. So I am ganking the local university's Wi-Fi, and it's Christmas, so no one's here. And there's just a giant echo in this noisy hallway. So bring back Sam Weish, yeah. That's funny. Sam Weish, if you guys don't know, Bucs head coach in the early 90s. He did draft John Lynch, Derek Brooks, and Warren Sapp. So, Will, you did mention Bill O'Brien. Has he had success, though? I haven't really followed Bill O'Brien very much, but I don't think as a head coach. So, Rocco, 0-6 in the division. Yep, I see that happening. I don't see us winning next week, which is okay. You know, and I said at the beginning of this, it was okay coming into this that we lost, right? Because it's okay if we lose. That means we cement a top 10 pick in the draft, which we badly need for a pass rusher. That's where you get premier pass rushers or franchise left tackles if you want to go that way in the top 10. So 0-6 in the division, yeah, whatever. This season is so disappointing, blah, blah, blah. But bright side, we have a place to build. I feel like I've been saying that the last 10 years, so it's hard to be excited, especially after this game. Did I see the Gruden rumors that came out from ESPN before the game? I did see those. If you follow the Bucs closely, if you read Pewter Report, that should not be surprising to you. What Fade is referring to is the report that Gruden is reaching out to potential assistant coaches right now. Like, he's preparing to come back. So it's a rumor. It's a groomer. And we don't know if it's true or not, but I would not be surprised. I read Pewter Report pretty avidly, and credit to Scott Reynolds. He talked to John Gruden over the summer, and Scott Reynolds had that feeling, you know what, this guy wants to come back and coach, and the hatchet was buried with the Glazers, and he said if Cutter doesn't win, then Gruden's right there in the wings, and sure enough, here we are. So, it is what it is. Beverly, you said reaction to Winston at the end of the game. I want to know what you're referring to there. I did cut off the game as soon as he got sacked and fumbled. So did Winston do something other than that? Then I don't know what you're talking about. So let me know specifically what you're talking about there, Beverly. Andy, thanks for joining us. It's all right that you're late. We've been talking about it. We've been chatting about it. We've been commiserating together. I'm so sad for everyone on Christmas Eve that Santa Claus did not bring us a W to eat. Instead, he brought us a big fat L, and it tastes like coal. I agree, Mike. Jameis does need an emoticon for eating an L. Fade said Jameis went ballistic. He was pushing coaches and running after dudes yelling. I don't know. I didn't see that, Fade. Sorry, I cut it off in my disgust when we fumbled the ball with 30 seconds left. So I guess I should have kept watching. You know what? It's okay. Andy's saying Winston came out with the ball at the end and was yelling at the refs. So Winston's a competitor, guys. He hates losing. He loves eating W's, as we all know, and he thought they came up with the ball, I guess, and that's what it is. I love Jameis for showing passion. People slam people like Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco for being just straight-faced, showing no passion when they're losing or when they're winning. I love Jameis and his passion that he has. So the fact that he went nuts, trying to get people back on the field, apparently, as I'm reading the comments, which is pretty funny. That's Jameis for you. It makes me laugh. So let's see if there's anything else in my notes I wanted to talk about. We talked about the coaches. We talked about what we need going forward. I think there's going to be a lot more to talk about going forward, guys. There's going to be a long off season. Oh, it's going to be so long because we're just going to be building up that hype train again. We're going to be excited again. We've got to go offensive and defensive line. I don't care if we spend all 7 of our picks on the trenches, I will be happy. Like, just throw the book at it, Jason. Like, I just, and free agents too. Like, let's do it. I say draft, let's go trenches, free agency. Let's see if we can pick up some key defensive backs, and let's go. We have the the tools on offense, even with Peyton Barber, even if we went into the season with Peyton Barber as our back, I think we have the tools to win. So I don't want to spend a high pick on a running back. You guys may be disagreeing with that. Let me know if you are. I feel like, while it'd be great to have an Ezekiel Elliott or a Dalvin Cook or, Dalvin Cook. Sorry if I triggered some of you. A Todd Gurley. I think, it's still, you can have your Alvin Kamara's, your Kareem Hunts, and wait a little bit on a running back. It's all about player evaluation. John Gruden, one of his slams was he was not great at player evaluation. That's why I think we should keep Jason Light and leave the player evaluation to him and leave the coaching up to John Gruden if he's here. So, Mike, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Bucs just treat their game as a job at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they say done. I don't know what that means, but they do treat this game like a job, and these guys want to win, and that is something different than we've seen with past coaches. Andy, the funniest thing I saw today was the only starter to start every game for the Bucs was Donovan Smith, the worst O-line player. Now, I haven't heard much about Smith, and I haven't looked at the game tape. I haven't actually been paying attention to Smith because the rest of the offensive line has been so bad with all the backups. Donovan might actually be playing well. I'm not sure. I'm one of those people who will stick up for Donovan. I think he still has potential. Do I think he needs to be starting left tackle? Probably not. Maybe move him inside. I don't know. But I still think he's got the talent there. It's just all up here. So, Micah, I'd much rather my QB to be Jameis or Cam, so I'm showing passion than to just accept losing. I agree with you, Micah, and your quarterback, Cam Newton, takes a lot of flack from yours truly about how passionate he is, and I agree with you. Even as much as I do not like Cam Newton, I would much rather him care really hard and care as much as Cam does than someone who, honestly, the first person I thought of was Ryan Fitzpatrick, our backup. He's just ho-hum and doesn't care. Joe Flacco, somebody boring like that. So Jameis is a gamer, guys, and I think one positive we can take is that this offense is there. We have the tools. We've shown that we can move the field. We can compete with the best. We can compete with playoff teams. Easy for me to say. And it's there. So, good coaching, where it really takes out good coaching, good play calling, a couple pieces here and there. Honestly, guys, I do not expect a 4-12 season next year. I didn't expect one this year. I do expect a better year, regardless of who our coach is. The talent is there. This season, and I'll wrap it up with this, how I started it, has been Murphy's Law. Just everything is going wrong. And the NFL, people say it's a game of inches, and sometimes the bounce of the ball can be the difference between a 4-12 team and a 10-6 team. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, all of the things that have happened to this team is this team's fault. I'm not giving them excuses. But, man, we've had think about it. The Patriots game, the last two games that we've had, I'm trying to think of the other close losses we've had. I am now blanking on the schedule that we had. But, there's been the losses we've had, there's only been a couple of blowouts. There's been some that have just been determined by a single-digit score at the end of the game. And I said at the beginning, if this was a 55-minute game, we have a much better record. And to me, that says that, you know what? That's just this season. Let's move on. We are a good team. We have the talent. We just need whatever it is to push us over the edge. In 2002, it was bringing in John Gruden to bring in his guys on offense to pair with that amazing all-time defense, and that's what helped us win. So have faith, guys. We've got one more to go. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. I'm going to check once more and see if you guys have any other questions. Do you agree with saying that Winston outplayed Matt Ryan and Cam Newton? Oh, yeah, Winston outplayed Matt Ryan and Cam Newton. That's another thing that goes into what I was saying. Both of those guys did not look well they didn't look great compared to Jameis. I mean, Jameis has looked out of this world. This is the best two-game stretch I've ever seen him have, so positives. Let's keep that into the offseason. I question the usefulness of getting momentum at the end of the season and when you are not playoff bound, especially when the season situation is tenuous at best. McCoy should not have played. Yeah, I can see that, Mike. I really can see both sides of that. I want the players to play. I'm a person that always wants to see a win. I always want to see a win. I'm not a person that roots for losses because of the draft, because the draft is such a toss-up. I'd rather just see wins. I'm more short-sighted like that, but I totally see the other side of it. And I was nervous about McCoy playing, but hey, he got a sack today. So if he's healthy, I trust the doctors there. Thanks for joining, guys. If you have any more thoughts, continue on in chat. Leave comments down below if you're watching the replay. Remember to subscribe. I will be back next week, and who knows where I'll be next week doing the live broadcast from. But thanks for joining me, guys. I have fun talking about this stuff. It's cathartic for me. I hope it's cathartic for you, just venting your frustrations. Real quick, check out the Pewtercast. They do a reaction show. I think live at 9 p.m. is usually their time. Yeah, they're on Mixler, so it's a podcast. They don't do it on YouTube. Shout out to Mr. Bucs Nation, a guy that I will be collabing with soon. A guy named James, really cool guy. Check out his YouTube channel. And Pewter Report, of course, is my favorite go-to for Bucs stuff. And I mean, you guys know it. You're here. You're Bucs fans. So, Mike, I'll see you in the bathroom in a week for sure. Until then, guys, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate. If you're not celebrating anything, have a great week. Let's forget about this game. Let's put the season behind us. Let's look towards the positives, and let's see if Santa brings us Chucky for Christmas. So, oh yeah, Micah, shout out to the Panthers fan. Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. Join us next week if you want to. Congrats on your playoffs. Good luck to you guys. See ya. Ho, ho, ho.